The lesson.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about how the RCF thing come about.
You want to handle that? Or?
I'll give it a go. For me personally, or in general, like, you know, for me it was like already formed. Pretty much, you know, pretty tight crew at the time in Adelaide. You know, picked up from Sydney, basically. You know, like 7 moved here, and you know, I don't know the exact whole formalities of it, but
It had been going since, I reckon,
yeah, 85-ish or something.
85. It started in Sydney.
Yeah.
Came here in about 89. And it was 7 and band. Brought it down from Sydney to Adelaide. And it was already pretty well known Australia-wide. Already had like dudes in Brizzy putting it up, dudes in Melbourne putting it up. And it sort of ventured down to Adelaide. And Foe definitely was the first dude. Because he already knew them dudes. He was visiting Melbourne and Sydney a lot, and so he was already down with them. And yeah, he got down with RCF. And from where I sit, it was like USN dudes at the time. Kind of pretty much switched to RCF. Like you had Best and Right, Doom, DK, Cask. They were all USN. And then all of a sudden they just jumped to RCF. You know?
Yeah, right. And then that's how it started forming.
Yeah.
And then at what point did you...
Well, I come in around, I think, late 91. Already chilling with all them heads, you know, but just sort of, I don't know, me and AK were both, like, in another crew. We were rocking JBL, and I don't know, man, we're just hanging out with RCF a lot more, and I don't know how it all eventuated, but I've done yards with RCF guys, and you know, bits and pieces here and there, and it was very, very, I don't know, one of those things where you, like I wasn't going to go, look, you know, I want to be in RCF or anything like that. It was nothing like that.
Yeah, you never asked to be down with the crew.
It was just happened, man.
Yeah,
like, you know, chilling with dudes more and more, and other dudes less and less, and I don't know, just paths sort of go different ways, and I think I was putting it up mid-91 or something like that, man. So it was a while ago, but, you know, yeah, it was no disrespect or no hating on the other crew I was in or anything like that. Like JBL, you know, all cool guys, man, all chill. Just moved on to something else, man.
It's definitely like organic, you know, you just start sort of, I don't know, it's a
Hanging
pretty
out.
tumultuous time, you know, a lot of shit going on and everyone's doing their thing and just trying to survive. And you just sort of, I don't know, you just gravitate towards different dudes and who are doing like-minded shit, you know, you want to, you know, if they're doing steel, they're not doing steel, you want to get down with, you know, you want to paint trains or whatever. They're doing more walls, so, you know, you just sort of get in where you fit in, basically, and we both ended up just gravitating towards that side of things, you know.
It was pretty similar timing too, I reckon, you know, around late 91 or something.
Yeah, like, I mean, I was like only 4 or 5 months after Ambush was put down with RCF, and Cast put me in. Fo was actually locked up at the time, but he could sort of put the word out, yep, we want Ad Rock and RCF as well, which was kind of like a, you know, it was humbling, you know. It was a big, well-known crew. It was, you know, dudes wanted to be down with it, but it was very selective, so it's like a privilege, you know.
So who were the big four?
You know, like, you had 73A, RCF, you know, NA, and JBL, and, you know, there were others in the, you know, not as predominant, but they were all lurking about. Like, you had your TDC and, you know, other Oban crews and other, I don't know, just heads everywhere. There were a lot of crews,
man. There was a lot of crews, and it's hard to remember, you know, those dudes that were just like killing buses for a short, like maybe a year or two. Like CAF went nuts on, you know, they were a crazy bombing crew, but they didn't piece much.
So there was a lot of come and goes, you know, which to me, I just put it down to just getting hot and burning out, or either they just change names, and, you know, but yeah, like CAF, you know, that went off for a crazy amount of time. It was just like, fuck, things were killed, you know, and other crews like kept doing their thing. But I guess for me, those 4 or 5 were the main sort of dudes that had, you know, big numbers and all had their little branch outs doing their thing and killing stuff. And yeah, just, you know, not everyone was a bomber, not everyone was doing yards, you know, just all sort of, just all fit together, doing their thing.
Was there any beefs at any point in time? And if
we all
so,
loved each other, man. Things was just so lovely and chill.
It's all gravy.
No, you know, everyone's got beef, man. You know, there's people, always happens. You know, there's bits and pieces happen here and there. Things people don't get. You know, fucking.
It's pretty competitive, I think, graph in general. Like,
I wouldn't say jealousy or anything, but dudes don't like what some people do and this and that. And,
if you're getting up a lot, you get noticed. You're gonna get haters. You know, you're going to get dudes that love what you're doing, you're going to get dudes, a small minority that hate what you're doing with it. And I don't know, maybe it is jealousy and shit because they're not putting in the work you're putting in, you know. But we were definitely trying to do our bit and get, you know, make our mark. And, you know, I suppose the worst haters we got were probably the cops at the time. You know? They were doing some pretty fucked up vigilante stuff. And
tell us a little bit about that, like the sort of stuff that they was doing.
You know, like a lot of trains, when they scrapped the red hens, initially they were pretty hard to do. They were really trying to lock down the yards so we couldn't actually paint them. So dudes were definitely, there's more bombing going on in Adelaide, a lot of insides, a lot of run-ups. That was the predominant thing. Panels were pretty hard to do in the early 90s. They were getting done, but few and far between. Then they scrapped the red hens and they sort of left them out in the open. So, you know, dudes were getting in, doing some nice trains, and the transit cops formed their own little graph crew, Fancy, which stood for Fighting Against Non-Creative Youth. And they just started capping all the panels and stuff. I remember they dissed the NA into him, put that in there, no NA, no ability, just shit like that. And, you know, that was a handful of like 4 or 5 transit cops, like Roberts and Tucky and that.
yeah, like, I mean, that stuff's gone on since the start of time with graffiti, you know, like, I guess the transit squads would be trashing or whatever. But here, I think, like, you had it in Melbourne really bad, you know, you had it everywhere. But at that era, like around mid-90s, I think it was, 93, 94,
Yep. Yeah,
I think it was just so us and them with, like, it was, they really nutted out who was who, and we nutted out who was who of them, and, you know, it was a real sort of, I wouldn't say a battle, it was just like, we're going to do our thing, they're going to keep doing their thing.
Like cat and mouse, remember that day?
Yeah.
It was good. Followed through the city for hours.
Yeah, yeah. Things, you know, like, things just got, I guess, hot, and, you know, because Adelaide's so small compared to other cities. I mean, looking back now, there's probably ways I could have been less hot by just, you know, like upping and moving, or just, you know, like, but when you're young and, you know, you're not cashed up, you're just sort of, you know, doing your thing, you're just getting by or whatever, that's not really an option now. You look at it and go, well, I'll just live here for a bit, or I'll do this, or, you know, changing names works for a while, but, you know, after a while they're onto you again. And
back then, like, there was no internet, obviously, so there was no Facebook or nothing. You had to be out there.
oh, I had it, man.
Yeah, you're also ahead of the game, you know.
Yeah, no, fucking oath. It was like,
You had to be out there doing it, and
Yeah.
the cops were out there doing it. They were like out there patrolling, looking for riders, picking you up on platforms, searching you, checking, you know, taking your name. And after 3 or 4 times of that, there's new first name basis, you know. So they just see you, grab you. What are you doing? Fucking, what's in your bag? You know, you got markers on you today. So we're getting picked up a lot, harassed a lot. And I think that's definitely from the fact that you had to be out there doing it, not just sitting at home on Facebook checking the photograph on the screen. If you wanted to see graph, photograph it, whatever, you had to go out there and ride the lines, see who's doing what the night before, get off, get flicks if you like that piece. You know, all the while you're doing insides and hangouts and trying to evade, you know, any undercovers or whatever. And they were riding a lot of trains back then, you know, and it's because they had to. And that was their only way to get intel.
Like we do loops of, you know, you work out your train trashes or whatever, however you want to document it. You know, we had our little tricks of the trade, and they had theirs. You know, like they'd get dropped off. Two of them would, you know, do their loops, get picked up. You know, it's kind of like fishing. You know, they'd just be out putting their lines out, seeing what they sort of got, and we'd be the same, but we had a bit more. We were like studying it, you know. We had it like locked down fairly much.
We knew the times, you know, better than they did of the trains, you know, the schedules.
And you know, well, not that we're the first to ever do that or anything like that. You know, we just got, you know, you pick up things from interstate and other riders you meet through your crews and that, give you little hints. But I reckon around that era, you know, things were getting trashed a lot by them because they were getting so frustrated with not, you know, picking us up so much, or you know, not us two in general, but the whole of Adelaide's sort of graffiti scene, picking so many people up and not really having the charges against them that they were harassing you for, you know. So they resorted to cheap shit, and you know, it didn't really help because it, you know, if you poke someone too much with a stick, they'll just, you know, do the same shit back, worse or whatever. And, you know, there'd be days when we just, you know, I'd just go and destroy stuff, like just had enough, you know, 3 or 4 pieces in 1 week trashed, yep, okay, you know, 10 pieces in a week trashed, right, well, you know, we'll go do this, do that.
A lot of cat and mouse, definitely.
And it was, you know, I'm honestly, I am a vandal. I love, you know, ever since growing up, I like bombing, I like skateboarding, I like street skating, I like, you know, all the things that aren't your general cookie cutter type of shit. Like, you know, I played soccer and all that shit too, but I just didn't like the team sort of. I like doing things myself or with a couple of like-minded people, you know, like, you know. So I got sort of easily distracted by like graffiti and vandalism, and you know, I wouldn't say like I go out and I'll walk down the street and smash windows and kick bins over and trash people's cars or anything like that, but I love seeing a bombed train or a fence with tags on it, you know. To this day, I'm 39, you know, like I admit it, I'm over trying to deny it. There's like artists and this, like, yeah, do art, but you know, they're like, oh, you wouldn't do tags and that, like yeah, like I love tags.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
You know,
first and foremost, bombers, you know, and it's almost like by default that we got, you know, into the art side of it. But you know, it's just, yeah, I want to do pieces too. Get inspired by Subway art or whatever, Star Wars, and you know, you want to do burners too. It's all part of it. But yeah, we're definitely primarily bombers, you know, and so much adrenaline rush.
And I look at what the transit police or even police in general do, or Trans Adelaide workers, whoever, you know, buffers.
Doing the same shit.
They do exactly the same, and it's kind of accepted. But you know, for instance, we did on these trains that were getting scrapped. You know, they were coming straight from the yard to a place from the Adelaide yard or all the, you know, the State Transport Authority yards to a scrapping place and just chilling in a like an open layout. You could, you know, pretty easy to paint and have some fun before they were scrapped. You know, like. And you know, the cops would go there and like, so we couldn't do whole cars, smash the windows, or, you know, I'm talking 30 windows, 40 windows, smashing windows. Like, what the fuck is that? You know, like, I don't know. If a young kid went down there and, hey, I'm going to smash windows on these trains, it'd be like, oh, the kid's got problems, or, you know, we'll take him off to children's court or whatever. But, you know, it's acceptable for a 45, 50-year-old man to do it and sort of, yeah, now you can't do whole cars type of thing. It's like, it's very petty to be sort of, you know, sort of what I'm going on about, but sort of like tit for tat, you know, eye for an eye. Like, it's just got a bit much after a while, and yeah, man, like, they still do it to this day, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's ever going to stop. I'm not sitting there looking for a solution to it. I've accepted it, you know. I get things trashed even now, you know.
That night they trashed all, like, you know, about 5 or 6 of our big legal productions that we did for councils and government and stuff. And a lot of them were on train lines, you know. And they just destroyed them all in one night with like massive chrome flat caps. And and they actually admitted it to Damien.
Yeah, you know, like that's, even though it's smashed windows, they were saying to me, "Oh, you've seen your whole guys," you know, like things like that. It's, you know, water off a duck's back to me. I don't give a shit. I've got really nice photos. I always try and get your photo, but, and you know, there's the occasional ones you miss, like the one that got away or whatever. Like, might rock up and it's baffed, like, you know. But live and learn. It's sort of, that's what I love about the game, man. It's. Or, you know, the game, whatever you want to call it, it's one of those things. It's raw. You got to be in it to win it, type of thing. You know, like I respect everyone doing their thing at the moment, and you know, always sort of have looked upon the up and comings as like they're going to be like me or like others that I respect in a few years. You know, like, if they don't get, you know,
it's still
sidetracked.
There's a lot of panels are getting done. It's still happening. Some good stuff happening too.
On the topic of hitting yards, do you guys have any memorable, you know, events in hitting yards that really stand out to you?
No,
I'm
like, nah.
I know something happened interstate with some unmentionable sort of people, you know, and we, panels were getting done and security rolled up, and like, you know, I was trying to get my highlights done, and security's driving up, and dude's like, no, just fucking finish your shit, don't worry, just, you know, a couple hundred metres away. And so I just took my time, you know, okay, cool, this sounds pretty chill, whatever, they're pretty laxed about it. Finished up, tried to finish my highlights, had about 2 letters left, I was getting a bit close, so we bounced. And then I'm just saying to the dudes, look, it's, you know, it's just going to run, where do I get flicks? I'll get flicks in Central tomorrow, whatever. They're like, no, they'll buff that tonight in the yard. So I'm like, oh, well, I've got to get flicks, man. So we went back in there with me and a bunch of these dudes and just started snapping off with the flashes while security was in there checking all the trains. And he just leant out and he's like, when this get done, boys? And the other dudes, these Melbourne sort of raw dudes, just threatened him, you know, like, and he just like, whoop, shut the door and walked away, you know. Got our snaps and bounced, you know. So, you know, and there's more, you know, other stories, but some crazy shit goes down in the yard in the heat of the moment when you've just put your arse on the line to get some art up on the train. You know, you want to see your name running by through Central Station or something the next day. Some shit goes down sometimes, and you have to do some crazy shit to get those photos, to have the memories, you know. And some dudes just keep paying. Security comes in there, just like, fuck them. Usually this is one dude driving a bloody Sigma or something, you know? Like, that was a security check. Just privatised yards, you know, and so yeah, pretty, yeah, some crazy shit goes down sometimes. I know one dude in Melbourne got chased. I was with him that night, he lost his finger on the razor wire doing the yard. And other dudes saved his finger, put it on ice for him, they sewed it back on later.
Shit.
Real.
Yeah. Yeah, all sorts of fucking crazy stuff happens in yards. There's been instances in Adelaide. I know for a fact the security guard lost his job. He actually pulled a gun on 3 dudes doing panels. And they got chased off, and he pulled a gun, cocked it, threatened to shoot. They just kept running. There was, you know, authorities knew some shit went down that night, and he got pulled in, lost his job, you know. So yeah, all sorts of crazy stuff happens just trying to get your name up on that train, you know. It's like, it's amazing what you do.
Most of the times, like I've panelled or, you know, hit yards or layups or whatever, they're all got their moments, you know. There's always something. If you think back hard enough, or if you know, you might not, like right now I can't think of much, you know, but there's things drop into your head and you're like, fuck, that was crazy that night, or I remember when that happened, or this and that. And you know, interstate's always good when you travel and, you know, you're a tourist and just doing your thing in foreign places, you know. Saying that, your hometown's good as well. There's always, you know, some people are like, oh, it was so chill in the yard, and that's always a good memory when the yard's chill, you know. That's like, fuck, you know, that's what you want to hit, that's what you dream about, just doing a yard like it's a wall, like. But that rarely happens, you know. Like or sometimes you'll be in there shitting it, or just, you know, not shitting it, but on edge, you know, doing your thing, and then you sort of leave later and you think, shit, that was chill, you know, and that just, it's like, yeah, man, can't wait to see this flick or whatever.
Every time sort of unique, you know, sometimes you're in there and you just feel comfortable.
One stands out to me now that I think about it, like, you know, in interstate in Sydney, like, they're always, you know, for Adelaide guys, when you go to Sydney, it's a bit different. There's like actual subways and, you know, layups and shit. Like, I think a nice end-to-end got done, and very early in the night, and then we just rocked straight to the Ice Cube concert. That was like killer.
That was like 92, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe 93.
And that was sick,
93,
man.
Maybe. Those guys. Yeah, like, you know. It's just one of them things, like, you know, we have to do this, we want to do this now, you know, but we got the concert, fuck it, we'll go beforehand, you know. It's kind of killer getting drunk and blunted at, you know, your concert, seeing a, you know, like, looking back, like, Ice Cube, yeah, wow. But in 93, you never really got many heads coming over, there wasn't heaps of gigs, you know, like, back then you could name them all, on count them on a hand, you know, like, Beasties, this, that.
Yeah. With Ice Cube.
But like, yeah, going, catching the train to the concert, like, already with your camera with panel shots on it, like, yeah, it's fun, you know. Like,
and that was a good spot. It was like half in in the tunnel, half poking out. It was just, it's pretty. Trains were still flying by while we're doing it.
You know,
all electric as well, different Adelaide, the old diesel system, you know.
Yeah, that just sort of sticks out as a good memory. That one, you know, like. Sydney's always killer, Melbourne's always killer, you know, like numerous times in Melbourne, like, you know, you got to do your thing there when you're there, you got to hit some steel, and you know, sometimes you get a coldie and you have to, you know, it's not as easy as you think, you know. Some people have just got their system locked down and they could take you like you're going out for a coffee, you know what I mean? Yes, we'll just do a panel and then go home and, you know, get blunted or whatever, but yeah, I've had some full-on chases in Melbourne, and, you know, just like, I don't know, it's just a different scene for you, you know, you're in a different place, you don't know the, you know the basic demographics of where you've got to get away to, but still, when a chase happens, it's like, yeah, whatever, fuck, you know, it's just, it all gets a bit hectic, you know, like.
I've been told that in Melbourne, crews are very territorial of their yards.
Of course. And if they weren't, I'd be worried about why they're, you know, they got to be like that. Right? You have to be.
Is it? I mean, Adelaide being smaller and obviously there being less yards, is it the same sort of thing here?
Yeah, to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I
used to be. I'm not sure about nowadays.
Yeah,
it used
nowadays
to be a bit more, I think.
You know, like, as far as I was concerned, I had my favourite spots, and I'd be pissed if someone was doing them, you know, not pissed as in go and burn their house down or break their legs or, you know, the extremes that some other interstate riders would take it to, but I'd definitely have a word to someone. I'll go, hey man, what the fuck you doing? Or, you know, especially, you know, if they were cool, they were cool, but if they were toys or if they were like, you know, you look at it as they're making your spot hot, really, you know.
And some dudes come in and they just don't know how to act or leave the yard.
Yeah, they leave rubbish behind and, you know, chewing gum wrappers and shit. No, but they fucking, you know, they destroy your yard. They just make it a joke, and it's like, fuck that.
Just add a bit more heat to the spot.
Dude, I can't say nothing, man. I don't paint trains, you know. I can't. These days I'm like chill as fuck, you know. I'm tattooing and I'm just doing my thing there, and, you know, I paint here and there. But as far as back then, yeah, you know, like, but comes with getting older, you sort of, some people mellow out a bit more, others don't, they get a bit more worse, you know, they'll be like the Muppet Show judges, you know.
It was good that you had dudes like who would just sort of stick to their line mostly and just do their insights, their loops, their run-ups and that, but you know, those trains they ended up running out on our line, so we're all seeing each other's stuff, and it was cool. It was cool seeing, oh fuck, they're doing their shit out there, sick, you know, and you see some good trashes come through, and it inspire you to, okay, we've got to get up, we've got to fucking outdo, so there's that competitive side come out again, you know.
it was competitive, but it was definitely inspiring,
Yeah.
because you just sort of like, oh yeah, sick, you know, and you kind of wonder where'd they do that, or how'd they do that, you know, like everyone's got their favourite spots, like I guess riders these days would as well, you know.
We had a big uphill battle with the buff in Adelaide. Like, they were relentless, you know, buffing the lines the next morning. Like, we'd do a piece on a trackside, you go back the next morning, you know, sometimes it's gone early, 10 a.m. You've lost a piece, you know. And trains too, remember they had like jail release programs with dudes in there buffing trains, you know, like as soon as they came in, bombed, dudes are buffing them as, you know, while they're waiting for passengers to get on the train.
So there were all those errors, you know, where like, you know, for 6 months this happened, and then it just got lax again. But yeah, as far as like, to me, bombing and all that sort of stuff, you can go on, you know. Like I'd go up Blair Line because I knew there's a couple of loops that you could kill and there'd be this and that. And, you know, I felt sorry for whoever was up that way that day, copping heat because of what I'd done, you know, later, that getting searched or whatever, and we'd be back our way. But dudes would run into on my line, I'd see them out on my line, hey, you know, like, it was cool. I never had any real beef with anyone too bad, you know what I mean? I was pretty much open to just graffiti and bombing and killing the system a bit, you know? Like, I'd rather see bombed stuff than everyone just being hot and not bombed and, you know, just copping hassles and, you know, like, when run-ups got hot, we'd chuck, like, whitewash bombs or, you know, it'd be, like, all sorts of stuff just to make something else hot and then, like, make our little thing chill again and, you know, like...
There were periods there where we were actually fighting for space, you know, on trains that you'd do a run-up and they were getting slack and, you know, NA throw-ups would come in, Bs and type, we were like, fuck, we've got no space. Or Wright and Best, you know, doing run-ups further up at Dry Creek and we were doing them further down in the city and it's like, fuck, they've hit this, we, you know, had to find little gaps to get up and that was good when you're like fighting for space, you know, it's like a lot of shit's happening.
For, let's say, the younger dudes, you know, because obviously there's a lot of young dudes coming out and doing a thing, and there will be forever.
Yeah, of course.
Are there like, you know, unwritten rules or etiquette within graffiti?
I suppose if you're going in there specifically to do panels and it's a small system, you know, you don't want to make it too high. You don't want to just destroy the place with throw-ups and tags too, you know. I don't know, it's a tough thing, you know. Everyone's got different views, you know. Like, we all want to get up and bomb trains and stuff. Sometimes that was called for, you know, destroying them.
Depends, yeah, like how active you are. If you're going to keep it if you want it as a hobby and you're going to be doing this for your next year or so, you just want to do your panel and get out. And,
yeah.
You know, you don't want to. Like, I don't even know if it makes a difference. Like, personally, me, I'm the wrong guy to ask. I'm not as active as others.
If you want to get in there, do a panel, clean, in and out, and you're thinking ahead, like, I want to come back to this spot in 3 weeks and do it again or whatever, you know, you're not going to destroy the place. And that's like, personal point of view, that's how I would approach it, you know. Other dudes wouldn't.
See, that's my point of view as well, but if I was in there right tonight, I'd probably...
Adrenaline takes over
I'd
sometimes.
be like, ooh, I still got half a can of it. Yeah, nah.
Things change, you know.
Back in the day, you know, I guess we were further behind a lot of the new riders in Adelaide, like 91, 92, even 1990. We didn't really, like, no one was giving up secrets. No one was, you know, you had to learn the hard way and just sort of do your panels. You know, you kill a yard, make it hot, and you can't do panels for a bit, and that would suck. And like, I don't know, the older people that I knew weren't sort of telling you that. They weren't going, don't do this, and blah, blah, blah. You know, it was kind of like, they were just happy you were doing panels, and then they were kind of probably happy you bombed the shit out of the yard, because they were all thinking this might be the last ones, this might be not the last ones, but...
Yeah, they were tightening up pretty, like,
it's getting
solidly.
harder and harder.
Every few months it'd bring in a new little thing. It was like, another head fuck to get over, you know. So it almost was this, you know, like, unspoken thing where this might be our last opportunity, you know. And remember during the rail strike, they had this train strike, went for like 6 months or something, no trains running, you know. But, you know, dudes got into the yards and they were checking them relentlessly every 15 minutes or something.
15, 20 minutes.
So you couldn't get something decent done in there. So the dudes who went in just destroyed it. Adelaide yards, just fucked it up. Tags, throw ups, and that was, I suppose, necessity. All you could do, like if you're going to get in there and do something, you can't do a nice panel.
I guess the rules these days, like there would have to be a big list, you know what I mean? Don't do this, wear this, belly up, t-shirt up, whatever you want to call it, all that shit. And the list will just get bigger. But it's almost, to me, it's borderline, terrorism sort of thing, like, I just think when will it be totally stamped out? It might be soon, it might not be, it might just, to me it's very, very, I don't know, it's a strict crime, it's not like a joke. Like, to me it's just painting a train, it's just getting your name up, it's just doing a piece, but when you look at it and analyse it, it's pretty hardcore, like...
You have to take more drastic measures to get in there and do it these days, I think, but these are still finding little openings, and hats off to them,
Definitely, yeah.
And there's some good shit getting done. Then I see some sloppy stuff, and then my personal point of view, I'm like, I think I prefer to see this end-to-end throw-ups on that 3 carb and that shitty little panel, But that's just my perspective, But when you see a good one, it's like, well, someone got some time, they did their homework, they got it done, You can see dudes have done like maybe 5 or 6 colours going on in this car, and the backgrounds, and it's like for Adelaide, that's that's a win, definitely.
Yeah, I think the main thing you got to sort of take away from what we're saying is how small Adelaide is, really, and you can look at now. You got like obviously the internet and everyone's streaming this and that, and you can check what dudes are doing in any little borough of anywhere. And you think, fuck, but you don't know what their sitch is there or what, you know what I mean? So I kind of just look at it. If I see an Adelaide train, I already know in my head, that must have been this long, or they had this long, or, and then I see some Melbourne panels getting done, and I know that they're chilling and having a good time in that yard, because you can just sort of nut it out with the quality, really, and obviously the rider, so... hat goes off, to whoever's painting trains. Keep it up. I remember back in the day, early 90s, there was a lot of the news. Adelaide just seemed to report everything, There was a lot of news traffic, like bus yards got done, it's on the news. Someone tagged a bus stop, it's on the news, Numerous things were just making the news, and just like found some stuff, some 90s news sort of segments that I don't fuck knows who posted them, they're just on there, which is kind of funny because I remember them, there's just some trains that got done and ended up, 90s news, this blah blah blah, and it's kind of funny to watch back, just especially the haircuts of the old news reporters and stuff, but apart from that, like, no, there's a lot. I thought there would be more, to be honest. I thought you could just sort of find a lot of that shit, but I just posted a flick on Instagram and someone's written, check this out, and yep, wow, there it is, 2 segments, Channel 9, Channel 7, but back then there was so much of that happening.
It'd be good to see more of that stuff surface,
There's ones I remember that I can't find that I wouldn't mind seeing, but
I had a VHS of I think it was by you and a few other, we just used to compile double tape to tape our own videos, and I had this one cassette and it just had it was like an hour and a half of just news clippings off the news, all graph, and I think my mum threw it out, and I'm still devastated to this day, man. Like 15 years ago, she just disappeared. But that had a lot of gold on it, all Adelaide, all footage of who was getting up at different lines and who was doing what, and it's
There just used to be so much, and even certain spots where they filmed their segment, there'd be like, you'd see someone's tag in the background, or you'd see some stuff floating by or on a train, you'd be like, oh, killer, but back then you couldn't back record it or whatever, I'm not trying to go, oh, it's so bad back then, but it was one of those things, if you've seen it, you've seen it, it's cool, I've seen it heaps of times, mate, and stuff on the news and things like that. And you'd kind of wish there was some way of getting the footage from Channel 9 or getting the footage from wherever. That would be gold. But, at the end of the day, I've got a photo of it, whatever.
So long as you get your flick, that's really what.
Yeah, but, there's definitely, like, instances where there was vandalism done on certain buses and things and trains, and they'd report on something, and I think, the same day as that, 4 other things happened that were way worse, and like they're not on. It was, I guess the authorities are being really selective with what they let get out, and it's kind of weird. Like it's like we'll let them know about this, but we won't let them know about this because they might. I don't know what they thought, but being on the inside circle of all that, you knew what was going on and what had happened. And, I remember a bus yard trashed by 3 guys, little terrors, all of them. But basically, it bombarded the news for 3 or 4 days straight till they were all caught. You know what I mean? And just like. Yeah, it was like front page of the news for 2 or 3 days.
Time over that,
yeah.
The Jubilee time, but buses were running, just destroyed, man. Every bus in Adelaide pretty much at the time was just covered.
Little things like that were kind of cool, but I can't find a single clipping about it. Maybe I'm not skilled in that area, but I'm sure other researchers would be like, oh, that's there. But I'm just, I would love to see those news clippings, man. That was sort of pretty cool. I think it said something like buses destroyed or something like that. Or 75 buses destroyed, something. I don't know. But it was cool, like the news went a bit crazy with it all.
The O-Barn was a funny spot. Like the buses out there used to get hammered pretty bad.
Yeah, those guys down that way killed it. And, anyone venturing down there would kill it.
Big black 30mm tags just all over them, inside out. It was definitely like, was it CDH and those dudes were just killing it, man. And we were all about trains, like, yep, we're just down here every night on our local platform doing our thing. And they were all about the buses, and they had their little systems going on, little terminuses, and they'd wait for the driver to, just run up and destroy it. See that shit running around, it's like a bit of an eye-opener, And the local daily commuters just going to their work in the city in their suits, getting on these buses. It was pretty funny, their faces.
There was seriously a time when Adelaide was pretty bombed, man, like.
What time?
Oh, for me, my memories of it, probably 91-ish.
I reckon 1991 was probably the most heavily bombed. It's like they just got really slack with the buff. Like even insides on trains were running throw-ups for like a couple of months on end. I remember getting on trashes on Blair line on Red Hens, Seam and Delft trashes and stuff, and then you get on a week later and there's like 30 more tags on it, it's just like sprawling out of control, and they'd let it run for like a few months, and I think when like the Grand Prix was getting a lot more recognised in Adelaide, there's a lot of international visitors. I think that's when they were like, okay, we're going to clamp down on this, and they just started relentlessly cleaning all the train stations, train lines, trains, everything, That's when the battle began, basically.
Like, I remember when I was a little kid, and going to school, and a lot of graffiti writers went to my school, and this was like 85, 86, the first sort of era when it came out, and there was like every motherfucker had a tag, everyone, like half the soccer team, half the this, such and such, and I remember the trains like being bombed. Like I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and I remember every train had like tags. There was one of the main names at my school was Ecstasy. This guy, he was I really looked up to. Looking back now, I looked up to him. Like he was killer. He used to bomb heaps, and I used to watch him bomb the trains after school and shit. And so looking back, I'm like, oh yeah. I remember there always being tags, but then, I got out of it and all that. Everyone seemed to chill out from doing graph. That was, not the fad anymore or whatever, where other people stuck with it. I got into skateboarding and other shit. And then, around 89, I started noticing stuff by following that and just Tents and all those fellas, and you know, just lions killed and that. And I was like, man, dudes are still doing this heavily. And then like around 90, when I got back into it and thought I want to tag again and bomb and do all that sort of thing, I noticed, you know, it was hard to do. The trains, they weren't as bombed as they were when I was a little kid, type of, like my memories of it. But then, all of a sudden, it seemed like late 90, early 91, it was like a fad again. And everyone was just like, you know, bombing.
89 was a good year, actually. It sort of inspired
Definitely.
our generation.
Yeah.
Like when you had like Foe and Tents and like FTP came out, Fuck the Public, this crew. And that was like a bunch of city riders that were pretty notorious, pretty heavy train hitters. And they were doing yards and doing panels here and there, but they were also more about trashing, bombing, getting their names up. Some crazy inside trashers were running FTP.
Yeah, man.
And then you had CSI as well on 091, which was sort of like the early, the crew before 738 was Crime Syndicate. So yeah, there was a lot of heavy bombers hitting the trains, and that opened our eyes, I think. In 89, we were catching trains and buses to school, seeing it, going, man, these dudes are killing it, you know. And then I think by 1991, we started going, okay, look, you know, they've set the kind of foundations again, after it died off in the mid-80s or whatever, that it sort of picked up again. Early 90s, we started, you know, carrying the torch, basically, and took it from there, you know.
And then I think the end of that, like around 92, they got real strict with buffing, and you know, it just sort of, they tried to clamp down. It was still getting done, like non-stop, every day, still, you know, but things were getting buffed quicker, or some things were staying up. But yeah, I think if you had to put a finger on it, it was like, for me, I remember Adelaide getting pretty bombed around 90, 91. You know, even though, like we say, it was bombed earlier and people had it on lock earlier. I guess that's when I started really taking notice of it, you know.
I think by 90 and 91, it was like a new era. Like, shit was like, there's layers and layers of tags, you know, and but dudes were going around each other, but it just looked like it was like a mess.
And it might have something to do with the STA giving out free travel for a while for students.
Yeah, that's right. If you were under 15, I think.
16, 15.
Yeah, so you got free bus travel, train travel all day, all night, every, you know.
For students.
For students. So by the time I was 17, I was just like, yeah, I'm 15, you know. Free ride, false name, whatever, you know.
And I think things just, people were just, instead of it being like a hassle to go somewhere, they're like, oh, fuck it, jump on a bus, I will go here. Well, I used to go skate in Wollonga, skateboard up there, and you know, I just remember it always, you know, have you got a ticket, have you got this? And then free travel kicked in, and I was just like, let's kill it.
Yeah, I remember this interview with Rose, one of the head transit cops on Spray Conflict, and he said, we're not out to catch the guys doing the nice pieces, you know, we're out to catch the guys, you know, doing the tags and getting off that, you know, and onto the next bus or train. And I was like, shit, you know, they're onto it. You know? Start watching your back.
Correct me if I mispronounce it. Is it Jisoe or Jisoe?
Jisoe. Yeah.
From Melbourne. You guys are familiar with the documentary that he put out online?
It was released on DVD.
Okay,
it
yeah.
It was like limited, a bit hard to get, but yeah, it was. And then I think, yeah, it was online and stuff. You know, he was an ex-Adelaide dude.
Big respect to his filmer, man. Eddie Martin. Like a mad skater back in the day.
What are your thoughts on that DVD or that documentary? Because obviously, you want to keep yourself. You don't want to draw that attention. And, you know,
I wouldn't do it. You know,
he's a bit of an anomaly, I think. Jisoe,
yeah.
You know, he's like just in your face, whatever, and that almost skater mentality, I think, coming through there and bringing the crazy, don't give a fuck, die hard skater mentality into Graph, you know. And he just sort of submersed himself when he went to Melbourne in like the west side Melbourne mentality, you know, and obviously didn't give two shits about who saw what, you know. And I don't think he even went down for any of that. And I don't know, I mean, he got done for a few things, but in Adelaide he wasn't hugely prolific as a graffiti writer, you know. He's more of a skater. Yeah, went to Melbourne and just really immersed himself in the Graph and, you know, the train side of it. And just living that west side tough Melbourne lifestyle, you know. And I think if you're living out west in Melbourne, it could quite easily change you, you know. Yeah, it's completely different out there, you know.
They're the rough parts of...
Yeah, way out west, I don't know, like Sunshine, Broadmeadows and that.
Wow.
Yeah, that was cool, man. It was raw and gritty, good, yeah, good doco.
Yeah, so you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's just it's a laugh, man. It's like this dirty shit. Not the dude I remember, but
I mean, that's been out for a while, hasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, I only saw it like 3-4 years ago, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that someone would put themselves out there like that. You know, there's absolutely no attempt
Yeah.
to cover anything.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, surely this dude knew that as soon as he put this out, you're gonna have 5 knocking on the door, and you know.
Well, there's an interview for you right there, man. You've got to get the man.
I don't think he'd do it.
You might.
Ask him. You got to contact him. I'll reach out to him. Shit.
He was in a graph crew with us way back when IRS, Imperial Railstormers, the Pine started.
Yeah,
We
man.
did a fair bit with that.
That's a good crew. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imperial Railway Stormers. Don't forget it.
Word.
Killing trains of few like-minded heads. All
Yeah, that was good. It was a different size of town, and we were all just doing our shit, IRS, and it was just sort of, yeah, a bit of a concentration of IRS happening at the time. It was good. A lot of dudes were doing a lot of bombing at the time. Everyone was bombing. It was good.
The lesson. 2-7. Oh yeah.